Hi, this is Prashant Bharadwaj. Today we will talk about the operating level decisions in operations management. There are three levels of decisions. The topmost level is the set of decisions at the strategic level. These are decisions which will have a long-term impact on the business. For example, competitive priorities, whether we should compete on quality or cost or both or variety, speed of service. So many of these are strategic decisions which have to be backed up by good operations. Facility location is another strategic decision. So you have the strategic level decisions, then you have the tactical decisions. For example, job design is a tactical decision. Facility layout is a tactical or a design decision. Then you have the third level of decisions called the operating decisions. These are decisions that are taken on a routine basis at regular intervals. This is a schematic of the operating level decisions in operations management. Let's start first here. This is the demand. This is not an OM or operations management decision, but everything in operations is driven by the demand. If there is no demand, there is no operations. If the demand doesn't fluctuate, then there is no need for planning. So the first thing you have to do is get a grip on the forecast or on the firm orders for the company or the assured customer orders. So let's talk about forecast. The first topic under operating level decisions will be forecast, which, like I said again, is not an operations decision, but that is what drives operations. As you can see here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 levels. In most companies, these levels may not be as distinct as you can see in this schematic or in a textbook, but most companies go through these phases while planning. Another disclaimer, these terminologies that we see here in my handout as well as in the books may not be exactly the same in every business, especially in a service-oriented business. So I will point out what some of the terminologies are, but there may be other terms that may be used in certain industries and certain businesses which may be slightly different, but essentially the company will be going through these 4 stages. Before we talk about these 4 levels, I also want to point out that in all of these levels, ultimately you're planning for these 3 entities. You want to plan your capacity. Capacity can be multifaceted again. It can be number of people, it can be pertaining to equipment, it can be pertaining to the number of hospital beds, it can be number of classrooms, it can be number of checkout counters in retail. So capacity can be multifaceted. Inventory, that we all know what it is, how much inventory to carry, of what items and when. The last thing is how much to produce, when to produce, how many to serve, when to serve. So these are the 3 aspects of planning at the operating level. So let's start with the aggregate production plan. That is the topmost level. It is also called a sales and operations plan in many industries. What is that? This is a decision of capacity, inventory, and production/service taken at a very high level in the business, typically at the vice president's level or somewhere close to that, depending upon the size of the business. So if I am a furniture manufacturer, the sales and operations plan will not look at every type of chair, desk, and table that I'm making. It is looking at aggregating all these chairs and desks and tables and other furniture items that I'm making into number of pieces of furniture items. If I am the provost or the academic head of a university, I need to know the capacity pertaining to my faculty. So in the university that I teach, IUP, there are close to 650 faculty in the university. If I'm the provost reporting directly to the president, I will not be concerned about the number of faculty members that I would need to teach operations management, right? I will be concerned only about the total number of faculty aggregated from operations management, marketing, all of business, all of sciences, all of fine arts, education, on and on. I aggregate them all and then I plan my capacity pertaining to 650 faculty. So the aggregate entity here is faculty member. If I'm an American Airlines planning at the aggregate level, I'm not looking at specific number of Boeing 727, 737, 747s, A320, so on. I'm looking at an aggregate entity of number of aircrafts. So when we talk about aggregate production plan, you're talking about a fictitious aggregate entity that will help the top manager in operations plan a pertinent capacity inventory, which is typically in dollar volume here, not of specific products. And same thing with production. We will produce 2 million Toyota vehicles. Doesn't specify here how many Corollas, Camrys, and so on. It is an aggregate entity. So that is the first level. The second level is the master production schedule, MPS, master production schedule. You can take out the word production and make it master schedule also in a more service oriented environment. And I have used the word prospective here. Prospective means obviously something that you propose. It is not the one that is authorized. So in the master production schedule, what is it? What is a master production schedule? Master production schedule is basically a disaggregate of the aggregate plan. So if the provost of IUP says we will have 650 faculty members at IUP, then you disaggregate that into 60 faculty in the College of Business, 100 faculty in the College of Natural Sciences and Math, 150 faculty members in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and so on. Once I know that I have 60 faculty members in the College of Business, 15 of them in management, 10 of them in marketing, 10 in accounting, 8 in finance, that is disaggregation. Once I know that I'm making 2 million Toyota vehicles, how many Priuses, how many Corollas, how many Camrys, how many sedans, how many wagons, how many auto transmission, how many manual transmission, how many red color, blue color, black color, white color vehicles am I making? So the master schedule will look at specific types of end items or specific types of workforce. Whereas in the aggregate production plan, you are just aggregating everything into one fictitious entity like a car or a furniture item or a faculty member or a pilot or a physician. Whereas in the master production schedule, you are looking at what kind of chair, what color of chair, what kind of faculty member teaching operations management or marketing or human resources. You're looking at what specific types of aircraft, on and on. Now I said this is a prospective MPS. Then you do what we call as a rough cut capacity plan. a rough cut. So, as the name indicates, rough cut means not a detailed capacity plan. So, when you do the rough cut capacity planning, you will find out if this particular master schedule is feasible. So, if I say in the prospective MPS, I'm going to make 100 chairs of a specific kind, 200 desks of another kind, and 300 tables of a specific type in the next 1 week. I'm going to check if we have enough capacity. So in the rough cut capacity plan, I'm not going to look at all the details of my capacity. I'm going to look at key resources, key suppliers, key production facilities. In some cases, the painting booth in the manufacturing operation may be a bottleneck. So I will just look at my painting booth and find out if that is available to meet this production quantity specified in the master production schedule. So if it is infeasible, then I go back and work again on my master production schedule. If it is feasible, I authorize the MPS and the third level kicks in. The third level is Materials Requirement Planning, MRP. Materials Requirement Planning. The name tells you exactly what it is. It is the planning of the requirement of all the materials that goes into the end item. So if I'm making an automobile, I got to know how many engines, how many transmissions, how many bodies, how many seats, how many steering wheels, everything that goes into each of these sub-assemblies, raw materials, components that I need, all the materials that I need. When do I need? How much do I need? That is what MRP is. So you take the final product, which may be as simple as a chair, to as complex as an automobile, and then you figure out, based on the master schedule, which typically looks at the demand and requirement of the end items, you figure out the requirement of inventory, production, capacity pertaining to every raw material component, subassembly, and end item. So that is MRP. And then you do a more detailed capacity requirement planning. Here it was more rough cut. Here it is much more detailed capacity planning. So once that capacity planning is done, you go to the final stage of execution, which is also known as short-term scheduling. And you might have recognized that I also have a direct line coming from the MPS to here. This line kicks in whenever we are in a pure service environment. So I was talking about the example of physicians and pilots and faculty members. If you're planning the capacity pertaining to human resources or people, then you don't need MRP, materials requirement planning. So MRP is more applicable when you're manufacturing a product and doing the aggregate plan and master schedule pertaining to manufactured products. So if you're pure service, once you know what are the number of faculty you need in management, in marketing, finance, and so on, how many different types of physicians are required in a major hospital, you go directly to workforce planning and scheduling. So this is basically who is doing what when, how many. So for example, the MBA course in operations management at the executive MBA location in Monroeville is being taught by Professor Bharadwaj in fall 2011 on Saturday 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. That is workforce planning and scheduling. Pilot A and Pilot B will be the team of pilots flying the Boeing 747 from Chicago to New York on Monday morning 8:25 flight, which is supposed to arrive in New York, local time 10:55. So that is workforce planning and scheduling. And obviously, even after MRP in a manufacturing environment, you require workforce planning and scheduling. How many people working in the first shift, second shift, night shift, on the welding machine, on grinding, in the painting area, in the assembly area, in the quality assurance area, on and on. Who, how many, when. Okay. And then you have in short-term scheduling these decisions. Number one is loading. Loading is basically assignment. Who is doing it? Who is working on which job, using which equipment? Which team is working on which aspect of the project? That is loading. Assignment. Assignment of tasks to people, jobs to workers, jobs to machines, machines to workers. All of these are combined under the word loading. Sequencing. The name tells you what it is. If the team or an individual is given multiple jobs, what is the sequence in which he or she or the team will accomplish this set of jobs? Or if multiple jobs are scheduled on a particular machine, what is the sequence in which they should be completing that on that particular equipment or machine? Detailed scheduling will tell us the exact start and completion time for a particular job on a particular equipment or by a particular team. So start and completion times expected. Again, these are not the final start and completion time. This is all still planning. So this detailed scheduling tells us the expected start and the expected finish time of a job. Dispatching is that particular decision of issuing the order. Now starting all the way from here, from aggregate plan, where we decided we are going to make 2 million Toyota vehicles. In the MPS, we decided we are going to make 200,000 Toyota Camrys of a specific body type, of a specific color, of a specific sound system, on and on. To in MRP, we figured out how many engines and tires and seats and so on that we need, all the materials that go into these particular Toyota vehicles, and we found out which particular assembly plant will be assigned this particular task, in what sequence, when it will start, when it will complete, and now we have dispatched this order. That is the execution of all the plans that have taken place. So the final word that you see here is expediting. Some companies, we refer to this as firefighting. You go on Monday morning to work and you have planned A, B, C things, but you end up doing D, E, F. It happens to all of us. Okay. Expediting is basically the function of monitoring what was supposed to have been done, and if things are not going according to plan, make decisions that will alleviate the problems. So expediting does not have to mean just making it faster. It basically means bringing the schedule back on track by taking certain decisions. So this gives you an idea of all the decisions that are taken on a regular basis, that is at the operating level in operations management. Finally, what you see as highlighted here in blue can be replaced by the principles of lean and just-in-time, which we will discuss later. This whole system is called the push system, the traditional type of operations, which can be replaced by the pull, lean or JIT system, which we'll discuss later. This is a simple example. If this is a furniture manufacturer who makes all of these different kinds of chairs, at the aggregate level, I will just talk about furniture, the number of pieces of furniture that I'll be producing. What is the capacity? What is the inventory? That is what I'm concerned about at the aggregate planning level. At the master schedule level, I'm concerned about this kind of chair, this, all of these. So I'm looking at the production, capacity, and inventory pertaining to this chair, every chair that I have here, and more specific end items. So this is MPS, and this is MRP. So materials requirement planning. Look at this chair. I have broken that into its smaller components and subassemblies. Backrest, the rollers, the legs, the armrests. So you can go further and talk about the fabric, the steel, if there is any wood, every raw material component subassembly that you need. And this is the last stage, which is the short-term schedule. Who is going to produce where, how much, when? Who is going to procure? Everything comes under the short-term scheduling aspect here. So these are the 4 levels with this example. So this is aggregate planning, combining all of these into one aggregate entity, furniture. This table also summarizes what we just discussed. Aggregate plan, planning for an aggregate entity, product or workforce. We talked about all these examples. Master schedule, disaggregate of the aggregate plan, looking at specific end items or employees. MRP, planning for all the materials required in the end item, when and how much. Short-term schedule is actual implementation of the above plans, who is making what, when, where. So going back, this should give us a good idea of operating level decisions in operations management. Thank you.